just carrying on from pretty much from the last video. It's all primed and ready to go. So first of all, I'm going to put some gloves on so I don't contaminate the actual primer with my greasy dirty mitts. And I'm going to be I don't get any more, so it's done. And I'm going to be going over the actual tyre bike with a 400 grit soft pad and a 500 grit disc, just to get into all the main little areas. If I do miss any areas like that, I'll probably go over with ice, probably with a red scotch, I think, something just to make sure everything's all prepped and ready to go. I could go fine with this, probably finish with like a 600 or even an 800 because it's a metallic, but like I said in the previous video, there's going to be a lot of material on this. The gold is just going to be the actual base, so there's going to actually be candies on here, metal flakes, and probably 3 or 4 different types of base coat. So I want to try and keep the actual key, the actual paint as aggressive as possible. I'm going to go for a real mechanical bond, not just a chemical bond. So I shall continue with prepping this, just basically all over with the 400, nice soft pad, nice and gently. Like I said before, there's not a lot of actual primer on here. I'm just going to try and get this as smooth and as defect free as possible. The actual paint strip did a really nice job and got really down to the actual bare metal. I've still got the forks to do, you can see in the background here, so I'll be doing those again, but I'll do those off camera, get them all ready and stripped and primed, so we can actually paint them all together, because I want to do the candy at the same time on the forks as well as the frame, so I get the exact same coverage. Because with candy you can put 3 coats on one and 3.5 on the other, and it could be 2 or 3 shades out in colour and depth, so we're going to try and do it all in one. So we'll just prep the entire frame, 400, we'll give it a really good degrease with a panel wipe and some glass cleaner, and get it in the garage, get it hung up, and I'll start with the base coat. So I'll continue with this, get the forks done, and then we'll move to the garage. So see you in a bit. Okay, so here we are in the garage, and the bike is all prepped. I've cleaned it with a solvent degreaser. I'll just show you that. That's Pro XL Generation 20 panel wipe. It's really aggressive, it's really good for removing grease and dirt. I've also gone over as well with a glass cleaner, just a normal standard cheap glass cleaner to remove any fine dust, and then I've used a tack rag all over the actual frame to remove any little bits of dust and residue from the actual degreaser. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put the gold down, Renault gold, just in the aerosol. I still wear your mask, safety first of course. Got all plastic on the wall here. The Nissan is fully bagged in plastic as well, so there's no overspray gets on that. I don't want to put it outside because it's going to rain today, and I'm really anal about it getting wet, even though I do wash it, which is odd, I know, but hey, that's what I'm like. So I'm going to go under the gold first. I'm going to go under all the little bits here first, all the underneath bits, all around the little edges, get all into detail areas as much as possible, and then we'll give it a really nice light coat all over. We're going to let that dry, let that sit and flash off, probably for about 10-15 minutes. We're going to do something more interesting. In fact, I've got to get the graphics ready, so we'll go and do that, and then we'll lay the graphics on, and we'll start messing about with this specialist paints and candies, etc. So I'll get this on. Has that been recorded? Oh yeah, I'm recording. Okay, so I'm going to let that just flash off now for a good 10-15 minutes, and then I'll check it all over, just to see if there's any bits I've missed like I have there. I can't actually put my main LED light on, which is in the back here, because it messes with the frame rate of the camera and you just get loads of flickering. So I may even put that on off camera just so I can have a check around it. But like I said, I'll leave it up 10-15 minutes, we'll come back and have a look. Okay, while that paint is actually drying, I'm just going to put some application tape on my graphics. You may have seen in a previous video I actually thought this was a Marin bike, and I actually made the Marin stickers up, or the masks for paint. So now I actually found out through the internet, etc., and the frame number, it's actually a Trek. So I'm going to actually put the Trek logos on, which makes more sense. So I'm just going to lay these out, put the application tape on, and I'll cut round them, and then we'll put them on the bike as soon as the actual gold is dry. Right, so it's been about 15 minutes and the base coat has dried really nicely. I did go over with a heat gun just to make sure it's fully dry before I actually put the actual vinyl graphics on. I think I'm going to put the Trek ones on the lower down tubes here, headstock of course, I've probably put the shield here, and I've got the USA ones to go on each side here. I'm not sure what colour I'm going to put on the back here, maybe just gold metal flake, so they'll only be really subtle. I may even do just a little bit of airbrushing around with a bit of candy just to make them stand out. I'm probably going to do the candy with the mini jet paint gun, I think, just to have a bit more control over it. Not really a massive amount on there. Right, so just set my gloves off, and we're going to start off with the first Trek graphic. Nice and dry, just get my tack cloth. There's no actual dust on there. So basically this is just going to be a stencil. So all the colours are going to go over the top, and then I'll peel this off and you'll see the gold underneath, in theory. So I think I'm going to line that up there with that. Quite nice. You're not going to really squash these down too hard. What I do actually want to take them off, and hoping it's not going to take the paint off. If it does, I can just whack a graphic over the top. That looks pretty good. White on the gold. I may even do that. Messes up. Hopefully it won't. All being well. So I'll just do the other side. You can measure this and go really anal with it. I'm just going to do it by eye. Fly by the seat of my pants. And then the headstock logo. Is going to go headstock. Right in the middle there, just the T. Finally, that's going to come out. Shield logo. And there, I think. Actually, one on there. One up there. There, I think. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to get some plastic and we're going to try and do a marble effect on the front section. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick look at the actual graphics on there. Pretty good. And on the headstock is just the Trek logo there. Sorry about the flashing with the light. So now, try the marble effect. Okay, so just want the marble effect on the front section, and then we're going to fade it in over the down pipe and the down tube and along the main tube. So what you're going to just do is get a little piece of plastic bag will do, a little bit of aerosol paint. This is Mercedes grey. I'm just going to wet that up on there, hopefully. First time I've ever done this, so if I mess it up, then stuffing it. There we go, and we're just going to dab it on like so. That's not too bad. Don't want to go over the top with it, I just wanted to show through the candy. A bit too much. Build that back up. You can always go over the top with a bit of gold, I suppose. I want to try and alternate the actual plastic, make it so it's not uniform, so it's not like it's been stamped. It looks like it's actually random, or as random as much as possible. Get around here. What I'm doing is just generally just dabbing this over the top of the gold. I don't want to go too mad. Like that, and then I think we'll get another piece, slightly bigger piece I think. See if we can really mess this up. And probably down to about there, and then I'll fade the candy down, I think. I really use a car as a table. You must. Yeah, I quite like how it looks. I think I love that when the candy's over it. Let's hope so. I do want the gold to actually show through, so I don't want to go crazy with this grey. I think it does need a little bit more. Definitely there. While you're there, make sure you drop me a like on the video, or if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. That's why you're waiting for paint to dry. Let's see if that's level with that. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do any more. Just going to leave it as it is. He says, still wacky moron. Yeah, I'm just going to walk away and leave it as it is. I hope it's going to look a little better when the candy's on it, 'cause at the moment, I suppose it doesn't look too bad. It just looks. Right, leave it. That's enough. Okay, walk away from it. So I'm going to let that dry for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to whack some candy on it. Okay, so I've got the candy in the gun, just in a little mini jet. I've got the camera set far back so I don't actually ruin my camera with the actual overspray. So I've got the compressor on, I'm going to put my mask on, I'm going to lay down some paint, and hopefully it looks alright. I've also done the forks as well, and if you see down there, so don't forget the forks if you're doing the frame, which you want it all to match. Right, so I may have got a little bit carried away with the candy, and instead of metal flake on the back here, or just metal flake alone, I did go over with on the rear tail end of the bike just with the candy, because I love how it looks. It looks really nice with the gold underneath. The camera doesn't actually do it justice. So what I'm going to do now is let this dry overnight, I think, before I attempt removing the actual vinyl. Just let it really harden up. It's quite sticky now. It's nearly dry. I'm not going to rush it. I'm just going to leave it to really settle up overnight, and then I'll come in and remove the actual vinyl, give it a slight scuff over with a scotch, and then we'll put the clear on with a metal flake. Probably a metal flake just around the actual bottom bracket, and maybe flick some up into the rear tail here, maybe around the actual seat stem as well. I don't know. I Right around the actual badge there as well, so when I take that off that'll be gold underneath, not just like a shadow. I'm really happy with how that marble effect looks. I don't know if you can see it in here, I don't think the actual lighting's good enough. If I put the other light on, didn't get too much flicker from the actual LED bulb. But yeah, I like how that is. When it's all glossy as well and all shiny, it's all great. So like I say, I'm going to leave this overnight, let it all dry up, then we'll remove the graphics, get some more clear and metal flake on it. So I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so it's the next morning. It's all nice and dry. I'm really happy how that marble effect's come out. I've removed the actual vinyl now. It's really nice and crisp. The camera's not focusing properly. It's really deep, that candy now, but I'm going to put some a light fraction of metal flake just along over the top of the candy. Very, very fine, I think. The actual metal flake I'll be using is orange to gold rainbow flake. I've mixed my lacquer up here, it's 2 to 1, so I'm just going to put a tiny little bit in there with the actual metal flake. So that's all I'm going to need. Let me turn it on. The rest of that clear then will go over the top when this lacquer is actually flashed off. It's going to be going in my big old sealy gun, which is a 0 nozzle. So what I'm going to do now, get the bike frame back in the actual garage, get the compressor on, and we'll get the metal flake on. Right, so that's the flake done. I'm not going to put any more on, just a really, really subtle amount along the bottom bracket, just a quick flick all over. I don't want to go too much, I think it might detract away from the candy. Probably can only hear me through my mask. So what I'm going to do is let that settle off for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll get probably 1.5 coats of clear on, and that's it, job done. So, cup of tea time, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so still smells in this, I've still got my mask on. Safety first, of course. It's been about 10 minutes. Lacquer's set up quite nicely, still a little bit of flash to it, a little bit of stickiness. So now I'm going to go over with a really good coat, clear coat. There's a little bit of metal flake just left in the bottom of the gun, because I didn't wash the gun out. So if any flake goes on, I'm not really too worried. So I'm just going to give it a good coat now, and then we'll let that set again for probably 25-30 minutes. It's a lot cooler today. And then we'll go over again with one more coat, and that should be job done. And we can't forget the forks. Okay, so that's one good coat all over, really nice gloss level. We'll leave that now for a good half an hour. We'll finish the lacquer in then one more coat. Should be job finished. Really impressed how it looks like. It's really nice. Be ashamed to ride it and scratch it. And there we have the fully cleared frame. Put the extra light on as well, so if I do get a little bit of lens flicker, I do apologise, but I think you need the light just to show off the actual candy coat there. Look at that, it's really nice. Really pleased with that. So what I've got to do now is wait for this to dry. I'm going to probably give it 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 days, just to, maybe I'll just leave it until the next week, just so it goes really nice and hard. So when I rebuild it, there's less risk of actually chipping it or marking it. I don't know if you can actually see the flake in there. Some flake in it, more around the crank around here, fading in nicely. Yeah, I may even just give it a little polish here and there, just because there's a little bit of orange peel along top. Yeah, I think you'll agree. That looks pretty cool. So I'll probably see you again in probably about a week or so, and we can start the actual rebuild. But I hope you've liked this video. If you have, drop me a comment below. Like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for the actual rebuild. I'll see you